All right, please rise. We will now call the Wheeling City Council meeting of June 3, 2025 to order. And with that, I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Mr. Asaro?
Here.
Ms. Kane?
Here.
Mayor Magruder?
Here.
Mr. Palmer?
Here.
Mr. Seidler? Mr. Sklavnakis?
Here.
And Mr. Thorngate?
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. As we go into the mayor's report, I just want to note that I got a call earlier from Councilman Seidler.
Excuse me. We approve reading minutes.
Yeah, you're right, David. Thank you. First thing we're going to do, we have the minutes on the table from May 20th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve the same?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as received. Second.
Is there any discussion, changes? If not, I'll ask all those in favor to signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Minutes are approved. And now I guess I can go back to the mayor. Thank you very much. But Councilman Seidler called earlier today. He's got a work emergency this evening, so he won't be with us. Next, I want to make some nominations to some reappointments, in fact, to some committees. We want to reappoint Dr. John Holloway to the Wheeling and Ohio County Board of Health for a term which expires on June 30, 2030. We want to nominate Kim McCluskey, Robert DeFrancis, Roanne Burrick, Dr. David Javersack, Alicia Hardway, and George Frazier to the Hall of Fame Board for terms which would expire on June 30 of 2031. And then we also want to nominate Rabbi Joshua Leaf, Anthony Edmond, and Dr. Emily Ward to the Human Rights Commission for terms that will expire on June 30, 2028. Is there a motion to approve those nominations? Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And those nominations are approved. Next, we have two proclamations this evening. First, we have a proclamation here for Crittenden Services. Whereas Crittenden Services, a Wheeling-based nonprofit organization, has provided compassionate, trauma-informed, and accessible mental health services to women and children and families across West Virginia for 130 years. And whereas, since its founding in 1895, Crittenden Services has served as a beacon of hope and health, delivering residential care tailored to the unique needs of girls and young women, including those who are pregnant and or parenting. And whereas, Crittenden Services proudly operates the only licensed residential care facility in the state of West Virginia that specializes in adolescent maternity care, welcoming clients from communities across the Mountain State. And whereas, through its mission to install hope and support in its vision of a world where individuals and families live safe, nurtured lives full of opportunities, Crittenden Services has empowered generations of West Virginians to heal, grow, and thrive. And whereas Crittenden's unwavering commitment over the 130 years in serving vulnerable populations has had a profound and lasting impact on the well-being of countless individuals and communities throughout the state. And whereas, in recognition of their historic legacy and continued dedication to the residents of West Virginia, it is fitting to celebrate and honor Crittenden Services on this monumentous occasion. Now, therefore, I, Denny Magruder, Mayor of the City of Wheeling, West Virginia, do hereby congratulate Crittenden Services on their 130th anniversary and encourage all citizens to recognize and commend the invaluable contributions of this extraordinary organization to the health and future of our community. In witness thereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed on this third day of June 2025. And I'm going to ask the folks that are here, hang on for a second. We have one more proclamation, and then we'll have two different groups come up and get a picture with council, if you would. Second proclamation is in recognition of Pride in Wheeling Day. Whereas ORIC will hold its 9th annual Pride in Wheeling Day, taking place on Friday, June 6, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And whereas the Wheeling Park and Recreation Department, the Friendlier City Project, NAMI of Greater Wheeling, Sherwin-Williams Paint Store of Washington, PA, West Banco, Crittenden Services, and Dinsmore have partnered with ORIC for a community beautification event. And whereas as the Pride in Wheeling event is a day of volunteerism and the opportunity to raise awareness of the LGBTQ plus issues in Wheeling, and whereas this year's event focuses on the various beautification projects along Wheeling Heritage Trail. And whereas local artists, Vondell Bell, Amanda Carney, and Mindy Yarborough have created and lead this year's mural design. And whereas Pride in Wheeling is a strong expression of ORIC's core values, and by working together as partners, we can impact, improve, and inspire our community. Now, therefore, I, Denny Magruder, Mayor of the City of Wheeling, do hereby proclaim Friday, June 6, 2025, as Pride in Wheeling Day in the City of Wheeling, and we encourage our citizens to eliminate prejudice and come together to celebrate our city and its inclusiveness. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Wheeling to be fixed this day, June 3rd, 2025. And so first we'll ask the folks from Crittenden if they would to step forward, and we'll present you with this proclamation and to get a photo. Accept this. Now we'll ask the folks, ORIC and partners, if you're here, if you want to come up and take part, we'll present you with this proclamation as well. We're going to squeeze together so Michelle can get a good group photo. Thank you. And we have just a couple more comments here as part of the mayor's report this evening. One, on behalf of the entire city council, we want to congratulate Wheeling Park on their 100th anniversary and the events that they conducted this past weekend. It was a marvelous event. Again, we often brag about our quality of life, Vice Mayor Jerry, and you know that's one of the centerpieces of our quality. Also, want to congratulate Ogden and the folks down there for the great Ogden Wellness Weekend and all their partners. Another really great weekend. We do have Michael Borsick finished the race. Michael, congratulations. Also want to congratulate the folks who sponsored and took part in the Lafayette Revisitation Tour on the 200th anniversary. Very, very nice event. And again, I think it featured part of our history. And then honestly want to thank all the folks, particularly Mary McKinley and Betty Lou Sprouse, for the OVMC Beacon of Light a deal that they did last on Saturday at 1 o'clock. If you didn't see it, I would suggest that you maybe go online to I think Wheeling We don't have it on our website, do we, Jess? But I think Heritage
I
does.
believe so, but I believe it's available on Wheeling Heritage.
It was a great piece. So if you want to see that, you can go on to Wheeling Heritage's website and be able to view that. So with that, that concludes the mayor's report this evening. Clerk's report, please.
There is a notice of petition for zone change at 1154 National Road from R1B to C2.
I would move to refer that to the planning commission.
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion's passed and we will refer it to the commission.
There is also a notice of application to operate a private club, Abby's Inc. and Abby's Parlor LLC. And that concludes the clerk's report.
Thank you. We'll move to unfinished business.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to expend funds in the amount of $40,000 with James White Construction Company of Weirton, West Virginia for extension of Valley View Storm and Sanitary Sewer Project to be charged to ARPA.
I would move to adopt the ordinance.
Discussion. Bob.
Yeah, if I could make a real quick comment. We had received complaints about some fecal matter that had made its way into the storm sewer. This is outside the scope of the Valley View Storm Sewer Project. This contract will fix that problem. So this is a reaction to some issues that have occurred. A line cracked, and so we'll be able to fix that once this ordinance is passed.
Oh, thank you, Bob. I was actually going to ask you about this. I know exactly where this is. I've had a lot of communications with the residents back there, and I appreciate you and everyone at city staff fixing this and getting this on the agenda. I think it's going to absolutely help as we've said, we're going to help it so there's going to be no more issues going into the creek. So thank you. And I would respectfully ask the rest of my members of city council to vote in the affirmative, please.
Is there any further discussion? If not, I'm going to ask you to please record your votes. That motion passes.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to expend funds in the amount of $27,000 with Centrus of Kenosha, Wisconsin for purchase of rental services for centrifuge to be charged to water pollution control.
Move for adoption of the ordinance.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I would ask you to please record your votes. And that motion's approved.
An ordinance changing the zoning district classification of parcels 10W4383 and 10W4384 identified as 48 Zane Street from R3 residential to C2 general commercial.
I would move for adoption of the ordinance.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Any comments? If not, please record your vote. That motion's approved.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to expend funds in the amount of $168,251 and enter into an agreement with Southern Corrosion of Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina for water storage tank maintenance program to be charged to the water department.
I would move for let me start over. I will move for adoption of the ordinance.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please record your votes. That motion's approved.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to expend funds in the amount of $148,340 with May Engineering of St. Clairsville, Ohio for Phase 1 Nuttall Avenue sewer improvements to be charged to WPCD, regular RCIP, and congressional directed spending allocation.
Move for adoption of the ordinance.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Again, hearing none, please record your votes. That motion also is approved.
That concludes unfinished business.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move down here to, I think we have some minutes from, let's see where, Planning Commission of April 14, 2025. We have minutes from the Hall of Fame Board of April 8, 2025, and Planning Commission report to Council of May 12, 2025. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any changes, discussions, questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes approved. Remarks from council. I think tonight we'll start with Councilor Thorngate here.
Nothing new to report, but happy to be back. Apologies for missing the last meeting, but my son had a baseball game in Cameron, and I helped coach the team.
Your priorities are aligned properly, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Really, that's the most important. Councilman,
Nothing other than thankful for the weather.
good job, Dave. We'll move over here to Councilman Lucero.
Nothing from me this time.
Councilor Kane.
The chili. Chilies that will be out and
Vice Mayor.
I was just gonna mention the chili cook-off too.
You'll get the thunderstorm.
That's all. That's it. I hope everyone makes it down to Heritage Port for the 25th anniversary of the Great Wheeling Chili Cook-Off.
Thank you. And thank you, Rose Humway, Warmouth Police, for the leadership for 25 years. Thank you. Next on the agenda here, we do have report of committees. We have the Development Committee minutes from May 20 of 2025. We have the Finance Committee minutes from May 20 of 25 also.
I will move to accept as received.
I'll second.
Any discussion, changes? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And that motion is approved. Minutes are accepted. And now we have the report of City Manager, Mr. Herron.
Thank you, Mayor. You recall at the last city council meeting, we talked about the potential for development of the site where the former Wheeling, center Wheeling parking structure was located. We're going to move forward with that per the Development Committee's direction. But it also prompted discussion about the need for additional parking right away in that area. So when the parking structure was torn down, there was a ramp that went from Market Street to Chaplin Street that remained, and that was the game plan. So we've cleaned that ramp up. We've been able to partition it off, and we're going to open that for monthly parking in the center market area. It's going to create about 34 parking spaces, and we hope to have that open by the end of this week or early next week. There's some repairs that need to be made to the ramp to the area, but hopefully that will help alleviate some of the particularly employee-related parking issues that are in Center Wheeling right now.
And that's a gravel lot.
No, it's a concrete. It's the there was a ramp that went from in the parking structure that went from Market Street up to Chaplin Street. That ramp remained, or the majority of it, not all of it, the majority of it remained intact. So we're going to use that as a temporary parking area. It is clearly marked that this is a future development site, but it is in good condition. It's available. So we thought we'd try to at least help with the parking issue down in the Center Wheeling.
And it'll be free parking or how?
No, it will not be free parking. It'll be monthly parking, $40 per month. So we've already had inquiries for, I think, half the spaces already. So this evening, under original propositions, item number 17, which is the municipal council levy estimate, that needs to be submitted to the state auditor's office by June 13th. It's a slight modification of the levy ordinance that was passed based on review of the state auditor's office that came back to the city. So I would respectfully request the council consider 2 readings of that levy estimate. It is reflective of the amended budget that was the proposed amendment that was recommended by the Finance Committee a few minutes ago. The 2025 paving has begun. Projects were begun in Warwood and on the island. So far, the contractor, based on our review, is doing a nice job. This is the first time that we've had this contractor do the street paving project. We're looking forward to their performance. And as they identify the streets that they're going to be paving, we will notify each individual council member as to when they'll be in your wards. We did send out notices last week to Mr. Acero and Mr. Seidler. And then, as you know, there's an ongoing project in this building for renovations to the ceiling, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning. Right now, the second floor is under construction, but it is nearing completion. The next floor to be undertaken is here on the first floor. So there are going to be relocations of the finance department and water and sewer department. We don't know exactly where yet. It more than likely will be in the former police headquarters area. It could be on the 4th floor, but there will be disruption on this floor, significant disruption. The city council chambers will not be available during a period of time within the next couple of weeks for several months. So we are making arrangements, as we did with when this room was being renovated, to have council meetings in one of the courtrooms on either the 2nd or 5th floor. So we'll certainly notify the public well in advance. But this floor is the next floor to be done, and there's going to be significant disruptions over the summer months and into the early fall. And that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Herron. Report of other officers.
There are none.
Report of redress or grievance.
There are none.
Petitions of all other kind.
There are none.
Original propositions.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to expend funds in the amount of $148,533.76 with Semperfi Paving of Bridgeport, Ohio for 2025 street reconstruction to be charged to CDBG. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to expend funds in the amount of $39,600 with Atlas Environmental Management of Youngstown, Ohio for painting of flood damaged walls to be charged to the Water Pollution Control Division. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to expend funds in the amount of $66,004.79 with Faro Technologies, Inc. of Lake Mary, Florida for Focus Core 100M laser scanner to be charged as follows: $30,000 to RCIP and $36,004.79 to federal asset forfeiture. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to expend funds in the amount of $498,000 with Reclaim Company LLC of Fairmont, West Virginia for abatement of Clay School to be charged as follows: $374,375.96 to EPA grant and $123,624.04 to regular RCIP. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to expend funds in the amount of $193,000 with Edgeco of Lansing, Ohio for abatement and demolition to be charged to ARPA. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to expend funds in the amount of $160,235.70 with Miller Pipeline LLC of Indianapolis, Indiana for retiring 237 services throughout the city to be charged to the water department.
I'd like to make a motion to consolidate original propositions 7 through 15, the reading of chemicals.
I'll second.
If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, that motion's approved. So there will be a consolidation of the next 7 to 15 propositions.
Ordinances authorizing the city manager to expend funds for the purchase of routine chemicals to be charged to water as follows: $19,170 with Barber's Chemicals for sodium bisulfite, $67,986 with Sterling Water Technologies for phosphate liquid corrosion inhibitor, $17,400 with Univar Solutions for hydrofluosilicic acid, $115,500 with Bonding Chemical Inc. for sodium hypochlorite, $66,240 with Bonding Chemical Inc. for potassium permanganate, $32,178 with Univar Solutions for sodium hydroxide 25%, $125,450 with PVS Technologies for ferric chloride, $60,000 with Carbon Activated Corporation for powdered activated carbon, and $56,232 with Citco for citric acid. An ordinance of the Council of the City of Wheeling amending and reenacting Articles 787, 701, and 720 to update said code and establish exemptions from licensing and tax requirements for certain businesses as required by 2025 House Bill 2451. An ordinance of the Municipal Council levy estimate prescribed by the West Virginia State Auditor, known as the annual appropriation for fiscal year 2025-2026 budget for Wheeling Municipality, Ohio County.
I would motion for 2 reads of that ordinance.
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, I'll ask all those in favor to signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and that motion's approved.
An ordinance of the Municipal Council levy estimate prescribed by the West Virginia State Auditor, known as the annual appropriation for fiscal year 2025-2026 budget for Wheeling Municipality, Ohio County.
I'd move to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Is there any discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'd ask you to please record your votes. That motion's approved.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Wheeling approving 2 requests for revisions to the approved budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025.
Move for adoption of the resolution.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'd ask you to please record your votes. Motion approved.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Wheeling approving amendments to the fiscal year 2025-2026 general fund budget.
Move for adoption of the resolution.
Do we hear any discussion? If not, again, please record your votes. That motion's approved.
A sweep resolution of the City of Wheeling, West Virginia pertaining to the automatic payment of the bonds to the municipal bond resolution.
I would move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Are there any discussion at all? Again, if not, please record your votes. Motion approved.
A resolution of the City of Wheeling, West Virginia approving invoices relating to flood damage services for the sewer plant repair replacement project and authorizing payment thereof.
Move for adoption of resolution.
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, please record your vote. Motion approved.
Supplemental resolution providing as to principal amount, date, maturity date, redemption provisions, interest rate, interest and principal payment date, sale price, and other terms of the combined waterworks and sewage system revenue bond series 2025A, West Virginia Infrastructure Fund of the City of Wheeling, approving and ratifying the loan agreement relating to such bonds and the sale and delivery of such bonds to the West Virginia Water Development Authority, designating a registrar, paying agent, and depository bank, and making other provisions as to the bonds.
Move for adoption of the resolution.
Is there any discussion? Again, hearing none, I'd ask you to please record your votes. That motion is approved.
And that concludes original propositions.
Thank you. We now proceed to those wishing to be heard. We do have two folks tonight that have asked to be heard. First, we have George Smolder, and I think the two folks speaking tonight know the rules. Please come up, give us your name, address, and 3 minutes to speak. George?